A very good evening to you. I thank God so much for your life and the life of everybody that is around the world. This is Married Through the Lens of Men on COP UK Radio and TV. My name is Elder Jacob from Nottingham District. Let me use this opportunity to say praise the Lord and a very good evening to my district pastor Kwame Entry and Mrs. Doris Entry, and of course the family, everybody that is around the mission house. Very good evening to you. Married Through the Lens comes your way every Thursday, not every Thursday but every other Thursday between the hours of 9 to 10 p.m. So make it a time, make it a point to invite your family and your friends, your loved ones to always tune in around this time, Thursdays, every other week, so that we'll be able to educate ourselves on matters concerning marriage as far as men are concerned, so that men, as men, will be able to play our part in building a formidable home, building a marriage that is glorious, building marriages that are able to possess nations for Christ. And before we go on to today's show, we want to listen to a very powerful, great music that was released, I believe, last month by our own Diana Hammett. And I love this music, Meditation. Let's have a listen to it and then we'll be right back to
to you. To say thank you seems just not enough, but what more can I say that you haven't heard? Yahweh, why you're in Santa? What more can I do that you haven't seen? Yahweh, why you're in Santa? Where do I come in? May the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Yahweh, why you're in Santa? May the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Yahweh, why you're in Santa? Of my heart be acceptable to you. Why you're in Santa? May the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Why you're in Santa? May the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Be grateful enough? Can I say thank you enough? A million words cannot define my depth of gratitude. Words fail me when it comes to you. May my heart do the talking, and though I speak no words, may my heart of gratitude be heard. Yet though I speak no words, my heart's awake to give you praise. Oh, may the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Yahweh, why you're in Santa? May the meditations of my
I hope you really enjoyed the music. It is Holy Spirit filled music. What can we really say to God about what He has done, what He has brought us far? Bible says that everything that we have, everything that we are, it is His gift to us. And so we say, thank you, God. When words fill us, the meditations of our heart, the gratitude in our heart is what God will present to you. Today on the show, we will be looking at another aspect of a marriage life. And today we've called it knowing your spouse. Knowing your spouse. That is what we'll be talking about today. Last week, in our previous episode, we looked at marriage. We looked at what marriage was all about. So if you have not watched it, I will recommend that you go back and go and see what marriage is all about. I want to quickly go through a bit of things that comes to mind before we jump on to today's show. One of the things that we talked about was that marriage is commitment and not a contract. When we say marriage is commitment, what we mean by it is that it is not a gift. You see, when somebody gives you a gift, it is what you expect normally. It is something that you are looking forward to. And when it is given to you, you become excited. In the case of marriage, it is an empty box. And it is what you put in is what you get. It is not something that somebody puts in there. Although it is a gift of God to mankind, but it's an empty box. And so you've got to fill it in. You've got to put something in to take it out. So it becomes a gift at the end of the journey that can be given onto something. Marriage is hard work. I always tell people what we see on the screens, in the movies, and they got married and they lived happily ever after, is only in the movies. Marriage is hard work. You've got to be prepared. You've got to be resilient. You've got to be committed. See, unlike contract where you can terminate the contract if you are not happy with it, marriage is not like that. You see, in marriage, the word is until death do us part. That is what the original intention of God was for marriage. And so marriage, I would say, is a commitment and not a contract. You see, in a contract, there is a duration for the contract to be terminated. But in marriage, unfortunately, there is no duration for the marriage to be terminated. And so, unlike contract where you can sign the contract for, say, a year, 2 years, maybe 5, 10 years, and then the contract will be over. In marriage, it is until death do us part. Until we die, we are going to stay forever. And let me say this, a lot of people take the marriage vows for granted. It shouldn't be for granted, because it is something that we say to God Almighty. It is something that we say to the pastors. It is something that we say to our family. It is something that we say to our friends, our children. It's a promise that we make to them, that in good, in bad, in health and in sickness, in riches and in poverty, in the case of anything that happens, we will stick to the promise that we will get married. We will stick to the promise that we will be committed to our spouse. And that is a commitment. That is a vow that we make. And so we should do, you see, when you make promises to God and you don't respect those promises, for me, it becomes a very serious thing. Then it will be better you don't even make those promises in the first place. So that is it. And because of the nature of marriage, I say that it is not just between you and your spouse. Marriage is not just between you and your spouse. We need to include God, because when it gets tough, you need somebody divine to pull you through. And that is the beauty of the divine nature of marriage. You see, marriage is not religious. Marriage is not a culture. Marriage is not a color. Marriage is not an age thing. It is something that is divine. It is God that orchestrated it. It is God that planned it. It is God that designed it. God has an interest in marriage. God has a purpose for which he created marriage. That was why Adam was not even involved in the creation of woman. Because Adam could have one day said, well, I created you, I put this and that in you, and so when he gets angry, he could have taken it. But no, the whole idea of even marriage was brought up by God. It was not Adam who went to God and said, God, I have an idea. Don't you think I'm lonely, so I need a woman? No, it was God's idea. It is God that saw the need of a woman for Adam. And so it was God's idea. And once it is God's idea, it means that God has a purpose for marriage. God has a purpose for your marriage. God saw what you need through marriage and he brought it. And so once God has a purpose, it means that God has designed some principles. It is just like buying a product. You see, the person that manufactured or had the idea of the product or the service knows how well to manage it. And so he puts principles called a menu. So when you go according to the menu, you are assured of a better service use. That is just the same with marriage. You see, it is God that planned it, designed it, and instituted it. And he has principles that we should follow. See, a man must leave the home as according to Genesis 2:24. You see, a man must be separated. Before you get into marriage, you should be separated from your parents, separated from the house, separated in the way of thinking, separated in your finance, separated in you must be independent of your wife, of your parents, and then be joined to your wife. So when you have been separated from your parents and you have been joined together with your wife, you then become another unit, one unit, where you continue another family unit. So we went through all that last week, and I hope you learned a lot from it. Today we will be going into another area of marriage that I've today we'll be calling it knowing your spouse. Knowing your spouse. And it is interesting knowing your spouse, because you see, a lot of us do not actually know our spouses. We don't understand them because we have not taken time to know them. We have not taken time. Don't let us forget that we have been raised from two different backgrounds. Maybe the way your parents trained you is quite different from the way your spouse's parent brought them up. Maybe you were brought up in a very rich home, and your spouse was brought up in a very not so much of a rich home, let me put it this way. And so you see the difference in upbringing can cause a problem. And so we need to know our spouses. We need to know what they like, what they don't like, what makes them feel good and what makes them feel bad. in knowing that we will be able to amend our ways. The Bible says that so that you will know the truth. You will know the truth about your spouse. And setting you free means that you will amend your ways. Alright, so this is what we'll be learning about. And if you are the type that has also been married to somebody from another culture, maybe you are an African, you get married to a Westerner, you need to know yourself. You need to know the background so that you don't overstep, or you don't do things that will make your partner, your helper, sad. So these are the things that we will be talking about today. The needs of men are totally different from the needs of women. Now, let's look at the needs of men, and then we will look at the needs of women, because you'll be surprised. People think that their needs are the needs of others. So husbands especially think that these are my needs, and automatically they should be the needs of my wife. It doesn't work that way. The needs of women are totally different from the needs of men. And I always look at it from the prototype of marriage, like Adam and Eve. Adam has been created, he's living alone in the garden with dogs, with the bears, with the monkeys, with the elephants. They are there. And the trees, they are there. Adam did not even realize that he was lonely. You see? And all of a sudden, Eve comes along. Now, you have to know that now Adam has been living alone with these animals before Eve came. Let me put it this way. I mean, not only animals, but the trees, all the living creatures and all that, before Eve came. And so you see that now Adam living with Eve creates another, I would say, need. Eve hasn't experienced that living with the animals before. I hope you get it. And so there is a need for all of them, and there is a need for them to adjust to each other. By and large, majority of men have these needs, and by and large, majority of women have this similar needs, although they might not be in the same line, in the same order that I'm going to mention. You will see that some are stronger, some are not, and some are also interchangeable. But by and large, these needs that I'm coming to talk about, they are the needs of men and they are the needs of women. So when we will look at the first 5 needs of men, and then we will look at the first 5 needs of women. And when we have finished looking at them, we will try to see how we will be able to learn so that we will be able to improve our marriage. Now, the needs of men, 5 basic needs of men are: 1, sexual fulfillment. Men, our first basic need is sexual fulfillment. I'm not saying that every man, but majority of men, their needs are sexual fulfillment. 2, the second need of men are recreational companion. And again, I'm not saying that every man, but majority of men, this is our need. Now, the number 3 need of men are attractive wives. We need our women to be very attractive. That is the number 3rd need. The number 4 need of man is a domestic support. Domestic support. And last but not the least, the number 5 need of a man is admiration. A man that will be respected, recognized. Admiration, he will be admired. A man that men need that admiration. All right. So these are the basic 5 things, needs of men, which we will. It is also. I'm coming. We will look at. Let's look at the basic 5 needs also of a woman. You see, the first basic need of a woman is affection. Affection. We will go into it. The second basic need of a woman is conversation. Conversation. The third basic need of a woman is honesty and openness. Women need for you to be open and honest about everything, your past, your future, your present. The fourth basic need of a woman is financial support. And last but not the least, the fifth basic need of a woman is family commitment. Now, because I would say that married through the lens of men is basically for men, basically primarily is for men. But what we want to look at is that, you see, the first basic need of a man, because most of us are men, I would say that we know our needs. We will treat that later, but today and for the next subsequent series, I want us to look at the basic needs of women. Because like I said, for the basic need of men, we know it already as men. But we want to look at the basic needs of women. Because naturally, because we are men, we don't know what women need. And because it doesn't come natural to us, it is very important that we learn. It is very important that we become familiar with the needs of women. So that we will not assume that because, for instance, we as men need sexual fulfillment, women should also need it. Unfortunately, while we are looking at sexual fulfillment, a woman is looking for an affection. While we are looking for, a recreational companion, a woman is looking for conversation. Whilst we as men, we are looking for, an attractive wife and all that, a woman is looking for a husband that will be honest and open. Whilst we are looking for a woman that will be a domestic support, the woman is also looking for somebody that will be financially supportive to her. Whilst we are looking for somebody that will admire us, a woman is looking for family commitment. So you see that it's a totally different need. So we need to know the needs of each other, so that we will walk in their language. We will treat them the way they want to be treated, so that it will bring peace into our homes. Now, Bible, we will always refer to the Bible, because Bible is the framework within which we will work. So we will refer to our Bible, because Bible talks about all this. It is not out of the blue. Bible talk about all this, and we will go through where Bible says we should show affection, where Bible says there should be conversation, where Bible says we should financially support, where Bible says we should be open, where Bible says we should have a family commitment. They are all in the Bible. And today we will just, because of time, we will be looking at affection. All right. So if you've just tuned in, we are looking today about knowing our spouse, and the first thing that we want to talk about it is knowing our wife's need. Knowing our wife's need. We've talked about the first 5 needs of our women, and today we are taking the first need, that is called affection. Affection. Showing affection to our women. Very, very, very important. if you have your Bibles with me, we want to open to Ephesians 5:25. Ephesians chapter 5, verse number 25. And then we will jump to verse number 29. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 25 says, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. And verse 29 says, for no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as the Lord does with the church. So this is a very good phrase or a Bible verse to begin with. Husbands, love your wives. Now, it is very clear. Husbands, that is the command from God. If you want to know your wife, love your wife, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her. Now, I am talking about affection here. First need of a woman, affection. And Ephesians is saying love. So what does love mean? Primarily, love means to have a profound, tender, passionate affection for another person. Let me read it again. Love means to have a profound, tender, passionate affection. In other words, a deep affection for another person. That is love. And the Bible is saying that we should love our wife. In other words, we should have a profoundly tender, passionate affection for our wives. The word is profoundly tender, passionate affection for our wives. This is a dictionary meaning of it, and you want to look at these words. A profound, tender. You see, the way I believe that I always go back to the garden, Adam and Eve. Before Eve came, I believe Adam was just playing around with the monkeys and throwing bananas, and they were doing all sort of things together. It was a manly environment, let me put it that way. Eve comes into the scene. You see, the way men behave with other men shouldn't be the same way men behave with women. You see, we should treat them, we should have a profoundly tender, the word is tender, caring. Treat them with grace. Treat them as if, when you drop them, delicately. That is the word I'm looking for, delicately. You see, there are certain ways or games you play with a man that you shouldn't play with a woman. What I'm trying to say is that, you see, how you will relate to your colleague male in the office, the way you speak to them, the jokes you share with them, the kind of light sayings you say with them, shouldn't be the same thing you do with your woman. Because the things you say, even to your brother, your blood brother or your friend, a male friend, it could just go just like that. But when you say it to a woman, it can be very, very offensive. And we should be mindful as husbands how we even talk and treat our women. Because we should treat them with a profoundly tender, passionate affection for them. Profoundly tender, passionate affection for them. You see, we shouldn't have hatred for them. It shouldn't be like we dislike our. It is sad that some people dislike their own wives. Meanwhile, they are Christians. At least they call themselves Christians. Let me put it that way. So what is affection? A gentle feeling of fondness or liking or caring for a person. That is affection. A gentle feeling of fondness or liking or caring for a person. That is how we should treat. We should have a gentle feeling of fondness for our women, our wives. I'm talking about. It is a basic need for a woman. You see. And then I like the 29 also. He says, the 29 says that just as nobody hates his own body. I mean, there are people that hate their body. Let me say this. I mean, you can call them whatever you want to call them. I mean, some people, but they are very tiny people. They cut themselves. They don't like their body. But by and large, nobody hates his own body, because we bath it, we cream it, we massage it, we do everything. We nourish our body so that our bodies will not die, and we cherish our bodies. Now, what does it mean to cherish somebody? To cherish something is to love, to protect, to care, because it is important to you. That is what Bible is entreating us in Ephesians 5:25 and 29, that we should do to our wives. That is showing affection. That is showing affection to our women, our wife. When I say our women, I'm referring to our wives. Yes, in this case, because we are talking about marriage. So you don't have to cause your wife pain. You don't have to cause your wife sadness. You don't have to make your wife bitter about you. Don't disregard your wife. Don't treat her as if she is nobody. Don't disrespect her. But you want to care for your wife. You want to protect her. You want to make her feel important. That is showing affection to your wife. And it's a need. To most women, affection symbolizes security. It shows that you approve of her. It shows that you protect her. It shows that you comfort her when you show affection. And it's a vital commodity in the eyes of women. It is a need for women. Women need that. Women need that. They want to have. You see, when you are a husband and you show affections to your wife, it sends some signals to her that you take care of her and you protect her. You show affections to your wife, and you are telling her that whatever she's going through, you are aware, and that you are in it with her. All her problems, you are in it with her. Showing affection to your wife, tell her that she's doing a great job, and you appreciate and you are proud of her. Showing affection, that you do not want any bad thing to happen to her, and that you are going. This is a vital thing that women always want. Showing affection. It is a need of a woman. Now, how do you show affection? How do we, like I have said, that this thing that I'm talking about, it is not natural to most men, of which I am included. To show, you see, men are preoccupied with production. Men are preoccupied with getting things done. Men are preoccupied with providing for the family, thinking about the success of the men of the family. Men are not so much sitting around thinking about, what would I do to show love. It is not natural to men. That is why we need to learn. We need to improve upon it. We need to make it a habit so that we will meet the need of women. So how do we do that? How do we show affection? How do you show affection? Bible says that we should love our wives. We should show affection. We should have a profoundly tender affection for our wives. We should have a gentle feeling of fondness and likeness and caring for our wife. How do you do that? One of the way to do that is that you hug your wife. There are some things that I think we have ignored for a very long time, of which we have to remind ourselves and come back and do it. How many times do you hug your wife? I recommend that at least once, twice. When you wake up in the morning, kiss and hug your wife. You wake up in the morning, you kiss and hug your wife. I know, I understand and I appreciate that maybe we have differences in shifts. Some go to night, some go morning, differences in shift. But anytime that you meet, if you don't get time in the morning, when you meet your spouse, kiss and hug her in the morning. Anytime that you meet, it shows that you care. Holding hands in public, it's also a way, you see, it gives them security. It makes them feel like you are mine, they are yours. It is a need of a woman. Occasionally you buy her card with notes that are encouraging, that are inspiring, that are lovely. These are things that we should be doing. And like I've said, as men, we are not so much focused on these things. That is why I am bringing it to the attention of all men, so that we will learn and do something. I know you are focused on doing work and all that. It is good. I'm not saying it's good. It's not good. And it's not natural. It is not your fault. It is not my fault. But we need to learn. Another way of showing love to our women, you see, when we were dating before we got married, we used to take our women out occasionally, not every day. And once we get married, have 1 or 2, 3 children, that's it. But to show affection, once a while, occasionally, take your woman out. Take her for a dinner. Let her go to a restaurant. Not so much of an expensive restaurant, but you can go somewhere, spend a couple of money, chill out, let her be treated like a special person for once. It's nice. It's nice. Don't you see it as special when it's very romantic when you open the car door for your wife. You are going to church and you open the church door for your wife to walk through. You go to the restaurant, you open the restaurant door for your wife to go through. You go to your house, entering your house, you open the door for your wife. You make your wife feel so important. She feels that kind of affection. Go on a walk with your wife. It's cold. I know it's cold. But when you get the opportunity, go on a walk with your wife. When you are at work, occasionally, I know men sometimes we work, go for lunch break and then come back and work. Where I am like I'm saying, I also need to work on this. Sometimes I forget the whole day to even check on my wife. You see, we need to revise. We need to revive our way so that affection can be a habit. All right. One thing that I want to point out with our men is that affection for women has got nothing whatsoever to do with sex. It has got nothing. You see, that is why I'm saying that. You see, as men, our first need is sexual fulfillment. We misinterpret affection for women for sex, and so the moment we do this, we instantly get aroused and we think of sex. But think of this scenario. You see the affection women have for their children, the affection some people have for their pet. You see that kind of affection, that kind of love. It has got nothing to do with sex. And that is what I'm talking about. That men should think and know that this kind of affection that I'm talking about, it has got nothing to do with sex. They want to be shown love, that kind of you care, you care for them. So having said that, I want to say also to my ladies that are watching, you see, it is not natural with us as men to be thinking of a way of showing affection. It is not. we just want to work. You remember when God created Adam, all he told Adam was work. And so we are preoccupied with production. We are preoccupied with providing. We are preoccupied with how to protect you and all that. So showing affection is something out of our mind. So it will be important as a woman. Sometimes you will have to remind your husband that if you did this, if you said this, if you bought me this, if you took me out to this place, I will really be happy. I will really feel important. I mean, men are not magicians. Men do not know what you want. And I like the Bible phrase, ask and you shall be given. You don't, I know you are thinking, well, if I say it, it will not be special. Yeah, it will not be special, and we might not even do it at the time. But I'll remember, once you have said it, once you have suggested it, once you've told me, or once you have taken the initiative. For instance, if you are walking in public, or you are having a walk with your husband and you feel like holding hands, hold his hand. It might not be in his mind, but once you hold his hand, next time when you are walking, you remember and then hold your hand. Sometimes hug you tell I want you to hug me. Yes. And my wife is that type of person. He will just say, just hug me. Just hug me. All right. So now, how do we make it a habit? It is important that, because if we don't cultivate and make it a habit, we might forget it. And so how do we make it a habit? Right. The way to make it a habit is that you go through the day. When you wake up in the morning, hug and kiss your wife. Hug and kiss your wife. In the morning and before you go to bed, hug and please, hold your wife's hand. It is not embarrassing. When you go to church and you are holding your wife's hand, it is not embarrassing. When you are in the public and you hold your wife's hand, it is not embarrassing. When you put your arms around your wife's waist and her shoulders, it is not embarrassing. Let us cultivate this habit. Kissing our wives, hugging them, holding their hands in public, telling them we love them. Tell your wife you love them. I need to work on this myself. I need to work not occasionally, but you cannot show too much of an affection to your wife. Your wife can never see, most women will never say that, oh no, you show too much affection. No, she won't do that. So do that. Let's try and call our wives occasionally to find out in the midday. Maybe their break time, you call them to check on them, how they are doing and how their work is going, their day is going, and know that it is very good. Finally, I want to say that what is important is that when you have come back from work, when you have returned from work, and you have hugged your wife, kissed your wife, had dinner and all that, you sit down, ask your wife how her day went. It is very important to women. They don't want you to pass any judgment. They just want you to listen. Ask her, let her go on and on and on and on. And hopefully in an episode we will talk about the conversational need of a woman. Let her talk. Let her tell you how her day went up. And that is also what I am particularly bad at. When I come back from work, the last thing I want to hear is somebody also telling me how her day went. But it is a need of a woman. She wants to know how her day, she wants to tell you how the day went. And so my friend, my brother, my senior that is watching, that is listening, it is important. And learn to shop for your wife. Learn to shop for your wife. Go to the shops, buy her the shoes, buy her the dresses, buy her the underwears, buy her all the it is not embarrassing. Let me put it this way. It is not embarrassing to go and buy the things that you see nice for your wife. After all, when you cherish something, you will do anything because it is important to you. Let us get to a point where we will cherish our wife, to the point that we will speak to them in a very affectionate way. We will treat them, we will not disregard them. Let me put it this way. We will not disregard them. All too soon, it is time for me to go off for the next program to come up. It has been Married Through the Lens of Men. My name is always, my name is Elder Jacob. Today we looked at one of the needs of a woman, that is affection. Next week, hopefully, or the next time that I come on air, we will be looking at conversational need of a woman and what Bible says about it, what we should be doing, way to make it a habit. We are all learning. We are all learning. If you have been blessed, give me something to encourage me about. Subscribe to COP UK Radio and TV, YouTube and Facebook. Like, comment on it. If you have a suggestion, to just write it on the show. It is good. If you want to come on the show to speak to producers and get, I'll get in contact with you. We want to make it an educational platform where we will educate ourselves and affect positively the marriages of our time, and also possess the nation for Christ. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Until we meet again, may your marriage be a success. And what we have learned today, I hope that you will begin to put it into practice. Let me go back on it again. Always show affection. Affection is to have a profoundly tender, passionate love, caring, fondness, likeness, protection for your wife, because she is important to you.
Favor of God will come upon you today. Favor of God will come upon you today. The glory of God will fall upon you today. Oh, the power of God will come upon you today. Today, 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 today. with favor